Tiff and the Punisher rising to the call, fighting for the children, standing tall. Constitution in hand, we're ready to brawl. Rights worth protecting for one and all. From the podcast waves to every home, teaching us the power to stand alone. Legal knowledge keeps us in the zone. Fight against CPS so fiercely shown. Stand up USA, don't let them fall. Fighting for our kids, answering the call. Our devotion strong, we won't stall. Freedom's light will shine proud for all. In every town across this great land, voices united, ready to
They are taking our kids every day. I shout them in and no one has a thing to say. For those who have been isolated, don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeves. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, god damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids, pictures held up by ads. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows, and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior, and we cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen way too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the stopping. Stop it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hello, Tiff.
Hey,
Oh, what a, what a night. What a night. How
who
was your
you
weekend?
telling? Well, it was okay, but so I want to tell everybody what I told you earlier.
Yeah.
I met this guy and his wife, like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was helping him, and he was sending me stuff. So the last time I talked to him was, I'm going to say March. Um, And then I didn't hear from him again. He was like, okay, I'll talk to you later. I'm like, okay. Well, I didn't hear from him, right? And I thought, like I told you, I thought I pissed him off because I have this unique thing about me that I just piss people off.
No.
But anyway, he called me. Actually, he texted me last night during the show, and I told him that I would call him today. So I called him this morning for him to tell me that he was in jail for the last 6 months. He broke a no contact order because his wife was dying, and her dying wish was to say goodbye to her children. And he said he was going to make it happen, and he made it happen. So they came and arrested him, took him to jail. His wife died. He wasn't allowed to go to the funeral, and he just got out of jail.
Wow.
3 days before she died. Now, this woman was on hospice. She had cancer. This woman was on hospice. They were trying to charge her for the last 5 years now. So I have known them for 5 years. Drug her because she picked the son up when he was 18 or something. I don't know. But they charged her with kidnapping. So they drugged this case out for 5 years. 3 days before she died, they dropped all the charges against her. Lack of evidence.
This is shit.
Lack of evidence. So not only was he not there with his wife when she died, they didn't even let him out to attend the service.
That's bullshit.
That's how far these cruddy ass people will go.
I just can't believe that they get away with this stuff. I can't believe that I can't believe that we even treat these people with respect anymore. To be honest, I can't believe that anybody treats them with decency or respect or anything. Because what kind of person do you have to be just to bring yourself and make yourself into that decision? Like, who do you have to be as a person? Like to be like, oh, well, guess what? Your wife's dying, so we're gonna make it so that you can't even be with her. And you're not gonna let this guy. He stole their kid. You're not even gonna let this guy be with his dying wife.
Nope.
That's sick. That's disgusting. That's a satanic move right there, all the way through. Those people deserve to burn in hell with 1,000 deaths, if not even more than that. I swear on that. Those people deserve to feel every torture that they could possibly feel for the rest of eternity, I hope. Because that's disgusting.
And on top of that, he has Parkinson's.
Jesus almighty.
Terrible.
Wow. Wow.
But when the judge asked him why he broke his no contact order, which violated his probation, he told her. And he said the judge sympathized with him, but said her hands were tied because the law is the law or whatever. And he told them, I would do it again without a doubt. You can all kiss my ass.
Yeah. Yep. You don't need that.
Yep.
You don't need. I don't even know what to say right there. That's that stuff that makes me sick to my stomach. You know, it's just. It really does. You know, it just. What kind of person is that makes that decision, and then lives with it, goes home, eats dinner with their family, does whatever, you know, like, and then goes on like it's just no big deal, like it's just another decision made at work. It's just terrible. It's terrible, terrible, terrible.
This system has a real problem. And I'm going to tell you, they love to make parents accountable for shit, even if they didn't do it. They like to say
Right.
that parents are unstable, they're narcissistic, they're sociopathic, they're psychotic, they're this, that, and the third. But let's take a real deep dive here. Who are the people who are unsturdy, narcissistic, sociopathic, psychotic? It's not the parents, it's the CPS, the judges, and the lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people
Oh wow.
people should start. See, I always treat people the way I want to be treated, right? So we should start treating CPS workers the way they treat parents, because guarantee you they don't like it.
But I'll guarantee that. First of all, we'll just go show up at their house and tell them we want to see their refrigerators and their kids and all of that stuff. You know, go knock on their door 3 a.m. Now let's go check this out.
Yeah. And then we're going to be the ones going to jail for stalking or attempted kidnapping.
Yeah, something's ridiculous. Some other stupid charge that they'll dismiss down the road, but still take a kid from us for it.
Yeah.
And then they put that woman through all that shit. And then they dismiss her charges too, so she didn't even have to go without. I mean, how many people out there? How many people are in our group right now, or that are watching, or that will watch? Leave comments below, right here, down here. Put a comment down there. Tell us what you. How many of you were charged with something criminally or whatever that brought CPS into your life, and before your case was over, they either dismissed it, or you found not guilty, or whatever, but CPS still pursued your case with your child? How many of you that are watching us or are watching us at a later point than what we were right now? But how many people have been involved in a criminal case that played the role of CPS getting involved, but then it was dismissed or got rid of or whatever? I'd be so curious to see how many of them, how many people out here have criminal cases that, like, for instance, my stuff, that's what brought CPS to the table. And then they dismissed every charge after the TPR, even though they found me guilty of every charge by, brain cramp. What do they call that?
Administratively?
No, what do they call it? Adverse inference. Judge used her adverse inference to find me guilty in the trial, the TPR trial. And then 2 weeks later, she had to find me. She had to dismiss all the charges at the. And she comes up to my lawyer. This was a different lawyer. And she comes out. My lawyer comes out. He goes, "I don't know what's going on here." He says, but this lady judge wants you to ask you if she wants me to recuse. She wants you to recuse herself from here. I said, hell no. She wouldn't recuse herself from the TPR trial. This woman can look me in the eye and tell me she can dismiss every one of my charges, that she just found me guilty. Now, how does that work? That's on a judge's order. It says that she found me guilty of all of these things by adverse inference. And 2 weeks later, she's dismissing my case. How does that work? I tried to bring that up in the appeals and everything, but they said that didn't matter. That was
But that was a conflict.
yeah. The whole thing was a damn conflict. I'm telling you, the whole thing, the whole damn thing was. And I'm sure everybody else is like that too. You know, everybody else in here has the same thing. Same judges rolling through, doing all their cases, hearing arguable information at different points in the hearing, at the 6-month review or the other one. That's supposed to be it. Your judge is supposed to recuse. If your judge hears anything that's arguable or different facts on the case, you know, they're hearing something different that they shouldn't be hearing, they're supposed to be out. That's supposed to be it. They're supposed to be recused. They've been given privileged information to the case that they've been hearing. So how is it that these judges can sit there and listen to all of these things, these people that bring in motion? These judges are listening to the motion argument, but then they're the same judges that are sitting in a TPR. How is that fair? That's not privileged to arguable information. And then had to rule on that. So how is that fair to go under the trial? It's not. This whole system is just convoluted with bullshit. You know, it's just disgusting. And they're getting away with it. They just get away with it over and 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 over. You know, as the dollar signs are going ching 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 ching. You know, of the kids that are paying for our national debt or whatever the hell that does, whatever you get out of our kids for. You know, it's just. Oh, Herbert has a better question. How many people did not have any issues with the law and their kids were taken away? There you go. Debbie,
I'm going to
you got
say
one.
both of those questions, 99% were charged and 99% did nothing wrong.
I like that answer a lot. Because you're right. Absolutely right. Just because you got a ticket doesn't mean you didn't click it. You know what I mean? Yep. That's it. That's the facts right there. You have to spare up on false allegations as soon as it comes up. Show proof. That's the problem. Here's the problem when they are accusing you and you're in the criminal court with a case. Anything that you use in the family case, they can use against you in your criminal case. And since both of the bars are pretty damn high for what you're facing. In my situation, I was facing 70 years, and then also losing my kid, which I knew I didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I could tell them this over and over and over again, but it didn't matter. They wouldn't listen. So, but what you have to be cautious of is that you don't say anything out of line in your family court case or to anybody over there that they can now bring into your criminal case and then use that against you. So it's really like a catch-22. And I think that I found case law and some other instances where it says that they can't do that. I think that they have to allow you to. I know I have. I found it that you have to. They're supposed to let you run your criminal case out first, and then have family case come into it. Somehow they let all this stuff intertwine, and I don't get that for the life of me. I don't understand that, because how can they make you innocent before you're guilty, or guilty before you're innocent? You know, like they're taking away your kid based on something that you supposedly or allegedly did in the criminal world, and then the criminal world says no, that never happened. But then the family court can still go ahead and pursue it. It's just kind of a disgusting catch-22 that they put themselves in, or put you into.
And Clarence Johnson wrote an article on the Fifth Amendment, and it's really long and I got to find it, but I have it. And he clearly said, even in a civil suit, you can claim the Fifth Amendment because a civil suit can quickly turn into a criminal a criminal suit or something. In other words, shut
Yeah,
up, even in civil court, even if you did it, shut up because it could
yeah,
lead to criminal prosecution.
yeah. I pled the fifth on all the questions. I think it was like 150 questions that they asked me. Every question that they asked me in my TPR was based on my criminal case. I pled the fifth on every one of them. Every one of them. I just kept pleading the fifth, pleading the fifth. And then they found me. That was my admission of guilt. Was me using that. The judge used that against me. So
They
in that
cannot
courtroom,
use it against you.
I'm gonna pull up my order. I'm gonna read what they said about that. Hold on a second. Let me find this here. Um, all right. Let's see. July. Because they're not supposed to be able to use your Fifth Amendments, right, against you.
No, the Fifth Amendment, all it says is that you don't have to be a witness against yourself and testify against yourself. They cannot use any of your rights against you. Now, had you stayed silent, now that is a waiver of rights and that can be considered guilt. But as long as you said, I'm pleading the fifth, I'm pleading the fifth, 150 times, they should have stopped you at 10.
Uh,
The
no,
judge should have asked you, do you plan on pleading the fifth the whole time?
yeah, they just kept going with it. They just kept right on going with it.
That alone, for them finding you guilty because you pled the Fifth Amendment, that alone is a constitutional violation.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was 100. I think it was 150 times. Where are you here? Order.
No one is exempt from CPS, but I can guarantee you there are very far and few in between police officers who have had their kids taken.
I bet you there's more non-police officers that got their kids taken than probably 1% of 1%. All right, let's see here. Let's find where it says this. They tell me. Ugh, I hate this. I haven't read this in so long. Uh,
I don't know why you can't file suit against the judge and CPS and the prosecutor because they all conspired against you.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said, I don't know why you don't have a criminal and civil suit against the prosecutor, the judge, and the CPS worker for all conspiring against you.
Where?
I want Herbert to find one of those police officers who've had their kids taken and bring them on the show.
Months department.
And Debbie, you're right. We are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but you're guilty in CPS's eyes until you prove you're innocent.
Says these findings are made after the father pled the fifth when asked about his conduct on October 29, 2020. The court can and does draw an adverse inference from his refusal to answer questions proposed to him about the events that occurred on October 29th, 2020. After the father was released bail and the conditions used, blah, 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 blah. Hold on a minute. Made after the father pled the 5th. He was asked about his conduct on November 3rd, which is when they did the bail search. Based on the family according to plan of police, and back to the 5th. The court finds even after plausible, and the court does not find the mother credible at this point. Skim through here. Okay, Levy, however, the court can make these decisions as the father has pled the Fifth Amendment, his Fifth Amendment right, and we will draw the conclusion that he is guilty of all charges.
And I would take that right there and file a federal lawsuit against them. That is also a deprivation of rights because they took your right that you have the right to do, which is plead the Fifth, and twist it around.
Because you know what they did too. You know what else is they used all the things that I was charged with in this argument. They shouldn't be able to do that either. They shouldn't be able to use that until you're found guilty, right?
Just because they charge you doesn't mean, look, they charge Trump, right? But until you're sentenced, you're not convicted.
Yep. Man, I look back, this makes me so angry reading this. Because none of it has to do with my daughter being a good father at all. Not one bit of this argument that they were talking about here has anything to do with the care of my child. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
One of the laws that we got passed here was CPS had to limit their barrier crimes. And I'm going to find out if they've done it or not because they were supposed to do it 2 years ago. So look at the barrier crimes that CPS has too, because a lot of them are crazy. I will tell you right now, there's 30 in Virginia and 15 of them I've done.
What is that? Like the things that they supposedly you need to, it's the basis for their arguments or whatever? Like that caseworker had said on the other show, those things that they look for?
Arson, drug possession, dealing drugs. I mean, 15 of those barrier crimes I'm guilty of.
Right.
They were supposed to drop them down, especially for kinship. They're called barrier crimes. Oh, wait a minute. They have 30 pages of barrier crimes. That's what she said. 30 pages.
Unbelievable. Wow, I'm just reading through these there. So, like, and then whatever. I don't want to get into this, but just the lies, man. The lies when you go through these papers that you forget so much about this because so much time goes by. Like the lies that you don't even pick up on when they first come out with these things. Because you're so engulfed with it at the time.
And Darren, you have a fraud on the court right there. Everybody has fraud. Everybody has a fraud federal case. Everybody who's dealt with CPS, the family courts, the lawyers, Everybody. Well,
They
I
charged
know.
me with child abandonment. They charged me with abandonment because they stopped my visits with her immediately after my first podcast. When I
Yeah,
exposed, you can get that. You
but
can get that
they
podcast tape.
did that. You
Right,
didn't do that. They
right.
did that. See, I wish I had known you. I'm telling you right now, your story would be so different because we would have filed a motion to show cause. Why is his business not being taken care of? Because he's got a podcast? Are you kidding me? What happened to freedom of speech? They know
Yep.
better than to try any of that shit with me because I fuck you. Huh. No,
Yeah.
we're not. No, well, I don't play those games. You're not taking none of my rights, and I'm not waiving any of them.
Unbelievable. Very
And
fucking.
Herbert asked a question. Hold on. How about you're convicted of a crime, but you haven't been sentenced of a crime? Um, I've never heard of that. If you've been convicted and you've been sentenced, then you've been that it goes on your record. Even when you get arrested, it says you've been arrested.
We never missed one visit. It says they've missed a significant number of visits with their daughter. We never missed one. Never one. When I was allowed to visit.
Right.
They stopped my visits in January 2022 because of my podcast, and then they went for the TPR in July. They actually moved it ahead so they could get the 6 months. That's sick. My
So,
lawyer said that he was sick. My lawyer said he wasn't doing a good job. His wife was ill. So they needed to move ahead to termination of parental rights. And I realized after the fact that they had moved it ahead a month to make it so that they could get the 6 months of abandonment to make it abandonment.
but did you have court ordered visitation?
Yep, sure did. The only
And they
person to be able to do
violated,
that is the judge. Yep.
so they violated
Only,
a court order,
yep.
which meant your lawyer should have been smart enough to know he could file a motion to show cause, because if that had been you and your significant other, they'd have been in court asking why your significant other wasn't turning the child over.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason. I am a true believer of that. And I believe everybody that comes into your life is for a reason and a purpose.
Yep.
So, and karma's got everybody's address. Just remember that.
You realize that I just realized that this woman, the judge signed her name, misspelled her name at the bottom of this.
On purpose.
I don't know. It says Leah Lone Sutton, but her name is Lee Ann Sutton. And her last name is spelled different there too. Wow.
Are you sure she even signed it?
I'm not now. Here, look at this. I'll show you the. I don't even know if this will show up here. Wow. Oh, Gunner's in the back. Let's see what Gunner has to say.
Yeah, bring Gunner on right before Christmas. Hey, Gunner.
Hey, Gunner.
Is that my Christmas present to Tiffany? You get to see Gunner before Christmas.
Yeah, because unfortunately I won't be on the next 2 nights, but I'll be on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, Gunner. I don't know what you're doing.
Gotcha.
He's listening to some crazy music.
As well, Metallica. A little Fuel.
Yeah, I think this is it right here. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. I don't know. You're not gonna be able to see it, right? You probably can't see it. It's probably too small for you.
Is that her name?
Yeah, her name's Leanne Sutton, and then right here it says Leanne Sution. And then right here it says Lee Alon Sutton.
The Alone Sutton.
Are you sure? Are you sure that she signed that order? And CPS didn't sign that order because CPS has been known to change court orders.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't
Oh,
surprise me
Tammy.
at all.
Yeah, the amount of their paperwork that is just utterly sloppy is.
Look at this, dated 7/25/2027. 2007. Look at that.
And you just got that?
No, we were just discussing some things, and then
Hmm.
I just noticed this stuff.
All they did was take somebody else's name off that, copy and paste it, and put your shit on there. That's all they do.
Yep. There's no original thought into anything.
No.
I'm gonna look up this. I wonder what docket fusion is. You do it on the docket fusion.
When I got my paperwork, the year was 2021, and they signed it 2023. Are you stupid?
Makes it an invalid document if it's not dated. You gotta understand one of the things about legal documents too is if they're incorrect, for an example, a name misspelled, several things, not just in the court order, but in the when it's entered into the deed of records down at your court clerk's office. If that is not correct and incorrect, it's still not a legal document. So there's like a catch, two gates you got to kind of get past. One, it has to be there, and the idea of the court clerk is the clerk's supposed to go back and double check all the spellings and making sure all the I's are dotted, T's, all that other stuff, that everything's done. And if it's not a legal document. So,
Well, let me tell you, me and a police officer got into it, and I got the recording. He said, "Oh, where's Tiffany Wise?" I said, "How is my name spelled?" No, I said, "How is Tiffany spelled?" He said, Tiffany. I said, "That is not me." He pulled up his pants and fat roly poly ass and said, "Oh, I'm gonna post it on the door." I said, "Well, you go ahead, because I don't know who that Tiffany is." Now you can see I know how to spell my name, and it is not AMY. It is INI.
listen, even with CPS, you can spell your name all they want, and they'll try and convince you you're lying how you spell your damn name. I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, it's crazy. Like my wife and I, our relationship, when we described a lot of things with her kids are on the spectrum of autism. So a lot of things that we would do that most people consider odd is when we would travel places, we would call each other on the phone because that would comfort the kids. And CBS everybody else because that doesn't make sense. They're doing it. And I'm like, and then I had a conversation. It was funnier than hell too. That was we had a conversation about, well, we really don't fight. They're like, well, that doesn't make sense. I go, no, we have misunderstandings. That says when we take time to communicate and clarify the communication, either lack of information or knowledge, and or we're not seeing describing very well to help each other understand or communicate in the proper wavelengths, we make that correction and move on. I says, it's called fucking being adults too here, boys and girls.
Right.
And boy, that judge and everything, nobody like that. That doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Blah, blah, blah. You're full of it. You're such a liar. And I'm like, you don't live my life. Now, here's the one thing. I'm sorry, you're so fucking miserable that you can't let somebody else be happy. And a lot of this CPS stuff that I'm finding is exactly that. 100%. Guys that are in a family, they go work for CPS. Why? Bad fucking divorce. They lost their kids, so now they go on that side, and then guess what? All of a sudden, their kid comes around a little bit more because now they work for CPS. Oh yeah, well, I'll take on a few more guardian ad litem cases. Say, slide me a few more. Help me out, buddy. Bob's your uncle. Which to me, I'm going to be dead honest with you. With the technology, if it was strictly monitored, we'll say just by the DOJ or anything else as far as compliance, I believe it all needs to be gone through with AI. Enough to tell your thing, because then there's no bias. It's based off of completely the law of what you put into that computer program. You eliminate the human aspect of every bit of it. once again, I think especially on some of these things with contract law or anything else, what it would pull from. But you got to remember, its database is a blink of an eye. Imagine the Library of Congress and every law library across the country at its fingertips to look up everything, to make a content or even present case law and everything else. Well, this is just what it says, and this is what we have to follow. It's a lower court anyway, so what's the problem? I don't see the issue with it. You're not talking about, federal court or the Supreme Court or anything like that. I see that as being human. But once again, that's something somebody can't tamper with, but it must be in compliance at all times with the Constitution and, according to the laws. If you put that in there, half the shit the state will quit making fucking money because half the bullshit they do is illegal. No, thrown out of court, thrown out of court, thrown out of court. This is my problem. You put in your side, they put in their side, and then they go from here to here, and then the AI considers the law, the true law, and all laws based off of what its parameters are put in, and it makes rulings. No emotion, no Bob's your uncle, no I get a free weekend in Vegas, cocaine and hookers.
Emotion should only be based on your sentencing anyway, right? Like that's
100%. Actually, that was one of the things we talked about one of the rules, the rules for judges and stuff, is it's only supposed to be based off the law. But here in state courts, especially CPS, it's not. It's a clear violation. I think, what is it? Is that part of Rule 60, Aaron?
Well, Rule 60 is there's different branches of Rule 60. There's different clauses.
Yeah, it's like something like 4E or some shit, to where it says something about they're only supposed to rule off of the law, not off of anything else. That's why I was telling you in my case, when the judge came out and go, I'm going to look at your body language, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go, you can't do that. Oh, yeah. You can't do that shit. Why? Because you don't know my medical history. I can sit here with Tourette's and try and control it the best I could and turn around and go, fucking cunt, bitch, fuck, pussy, fuck, kid, shit, cut, fuck, fuck. And they turn around, that's contempt of court. Excuse me? No, that's not contempt of court. That's just my condition. Fuck you, cocksucker. No, I had to go in and just say, have fucking Tourette's just to piss some of them off. I got a touch of Tourette's that acts up every once in a while, the same way as I get anal glaucoma every once in a while. Yeah, I just can't see my ass, doing those things anymore. So, my kids, I'm getting used to being, with my condition. I'm retired. I was forced into retirement, and my youngest son, he just turned 18, and Jake, he's just kind of like, man, I want to go work, and he's working at some little food place, not fast food, but food industry type stuff, and he's back in the kitchen, but man, I don't want to go to work. I want to do this and that. And he's like, I got to get up. I got to do this. I said, fuck you, motherfucker. I put in 35 plus fucking years on my job out in all the fucking environments and everything else in the middle of the night, Christmases, everything, because of the job I had as a master electrician. We were on call all the time. It didn't matter. I said, so I didn't get all those things. Now, y'all can kiss my ass. And Daryl, we have to set up a time too, man. We seem to keep hitting.
Yeah, well, maybe we do a little action tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to get together with you on that other one. And like I said, I got a few questions too. Well, let's address. I mean, one of the questions we have here: if you're filing multiple suits, we'll say federal civil court. For example, my personal case and then our larger case. We want to make sure that we don't blur the lines between, there's a definition between those two cases, as in with my personal case, I'll deal with my personal estate, but the other deals with all other 49. I don't want to step on toes when we do some of the things we do, of the do's and don'ts of how to steer away from. In other words, you can't get paid out on a case twice, is what it's saying, is what I'm after. So we have to be very specific on how we file with what, the big case versus the other one. Hey guys, understand, you guys out here, listen, when we get done with this case, we're going to see what we can do. If it's just going to be, me and Darren just kind of just paving the way for everything, and you guys can just quote the case law to win your own cases, however it may be, and even coming up with templates for you guys. I don't know. Darren and I's been kicking around some things for that. Of like, here, just file this, and you just have to go to the specifics of your case. That's the whole thing. No two cases are usually the same, but there's a lot of commonality. But that's where you take and you get on that stuff. But we don't want to cross lines, right? Because we don't need to get paid out on one and then try to come after them in the big case and then turn around and say, oh, you already got paid out on that. So I think that's one thing we have to keep in mind. And am I correct in assuming that?
Well, I mean, they're going to be two different. It'll be two. I don't think that's really going to matter because it's not going to be two of the same.
Because of the subject matter of the case?
Right, and it's not a class action suit, so it's not going after that same specific thing. So
we may be on one of the sub courts of the civil court for my personal one, but when we have the larger case, the big one or all 50, it's going to bump up to a different court or a different type of classification. Okay, gotcha.
I do know when you file a federal lawsuit, for each violation, you can ask for a remedy for each violation.
Yep.
You can max them out. I mean, the other thing you got to make sure when you file on these too is don't just go after the state. When you go, like the method we're taking after is everything's, screwed up and then going after. In other words, we're going to have a judge. We're going to change. We're going to do an appeal. We're going to do a change of jurisdiction. It should have had a change of jurisdiction anyway to deal with the federal questions. And then basically, here's the questions to the federal court, and then more than likely it will kick it back down, which is a pretty open and shut case, basically saying it should have never done. Why? Because Fourth Amendment violation. You enter my home without a warrant, and that's going to be one of the questions. And if it comes down to, and this is where I'm going to help you guys out, is with these questions, it's case law. They have to follow it. So one of the questions is going to be, if a CPS worker enters your house and he says, well, they let me in, and there's a contradiction between the person that was home says, no, I didn't let them in. They didn't ask for permission in. They just kind of walked in as though they were somebody that belonged there or something. And there's a he said, she said situation. Your Honor, what does case law say? Because under the case law we've provided to you guys in that download it was very specific. You have to have and we're going to get very, very clear for the judge to say it, saying, no, you cannot enter the home. Even if you call ahead or anything else, you cannot say, hey, I want to this and that. No. And you're going to go, and we're going to ask the question even to intent. Your Honor, what if the intent, they didn't, in other words, the one initiating the intent was the family saying, I have a need, which is the way it's supposed to work. Okay? Not an anonymous call, not a call or anything like that. That triggers something else. In other words, the initiative was started by somebody else, which directly goes to intent. So one of the things we're going to do to help a lot of people out is have the judge go into intent. And I want to work with Darren on that. Hey, we want a very good description of intent, whether or not that has to do with entering the home. What was your intent? Because according to the way we read this, anything other than a court order, a warrant, or an emergency as described in that particular case, when an emergency is qualified, and even says an anonymous tip is not a way to get a warrant or anything else in there, everything else is coercion, it says. So the question, but it didn't answer within that case law, is intent. In other words, I didn't call them. They knocked on the door and they said, hey, I'm from CPS and I need to come in and do this and that. And people just go, oh yeah, no, that's a prerequisite. You're not even supposed to be in the home, like at all. And when people realize that, I think it's going to be the big thing of, did they have a warrant? I don't care if you said they could come in or not. You never invited them. The intent was they knocked and they solicited and you were trying to come in, but they didn't give full disclosure. There's the other part. I'm there for this and that. Still a Fourth Amendment. Anything else, basically from what I'm reading from that case law, Your Honor, is if they didn't have an emergency and there's no court order or there's no fucking warrant, and now you're dealing with fruit from a poisonous tree. Why? It's illegal entry, regardless of who it is. They are a representative of the government, a paid or elected official, and there, this parameter is pretty strict of what I'm saying. Then why is it being taught? Because then we'll use the case, and once that's decided, When we go for our civil case, we don't have to have another ruling. It's already been ruled on. We're here to collect the check. You see what I'm saying? I've already got a ruling. I don't need a ruling. I just need paid. But those we have in the bag for sure to get us into the court. But the second part is that it would allow us to add any and everything else on top of it of saying you have to hear my case because I already have a ruling. I still have to get paid on these. So it's forcing the hands of things that they don't want to, but they have to. But they don't want to tell people and give them full consent. In other words, by signing this plan or whatever else, you're signing over your rights. That's not full disclosure under contract law in any state, let alone federal or international contract law. And we're going to deal with that in our case too, of saying this is contract law. Why? Because it's exactly what it is, and we're going to address it accordingly. And if contract law holds up, even in the case of this, which it does, with CPS, because it's the only way they can do anything with you is with your participation, or they're coercing you into doing things instead of telling them fuck off. To be honest with you, it's horseshit. It's bullying. It's intimidation. It's communism. Is what it is. It's pure social. It's a social program. Hence socialism. How well is it working? I mean, it's not. We have more kids missing in the United States that are technically in the system than anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still up and running.
I sent Darren a case that just came out in, I don't remember what state, but it went to federal court, and the judge was held accountable for removing the children from the home.
Yeah.
So you might be able to use that because the judge lost their immunity.
Yeah. Well, regardless of what it was, like I said, if you know some of the specifics, I know Darren does about my case, you can have a judge say, I'm going to err on the side of caution and pull you out of your own damn home. I'm the only one that owns the home. It was a premarital asset and everything. It was my home, my dwelling, and there was no warrant, no nothing. It was like, I'm sorry, no, that shit ain't going to happen. So yeah, we're going to end up in federal court, and then the federal judge is going to look at you and go, you fucking railroaded some people. And now you got fucking caught. Why? Because you can't do that shit. And to catch a little bastard or something on the stand and admit that that's part of their policy or how they're fucking trained. Oh, trust me, I know all the right questions, Tiff. That's why Darren and I were talking about doing this pro se, is because we got the questions. We know the ones that hurt, and they're under oath, and they don't know what questions we're going to ask. But you got to understand, we've been down them rabbit holes enough to, I'm going to ask you some fucked up questions.
Even if the police come to your home and you did not call them, you can tell them to leave. They are no different than anybody else.
No.
Yep.
See, people think when the police show up that they have to let them in or they have to go out and talk to them. Absolutely not.
But it's the same thing. You've got police officers, especially just like in that particular case law we quoted, that he was there to, I'm here to kind of make sure things go calmly and everything else, and they can execute their job. Why are you letting them execute their job by violating the Fourth Amendment and coming into the home? There's my son. Your job doesn't include coming into my fucking home and violating my rights. I'm sorry.
Me and the sergeant went round and round. He was like, well, we're not going to enter your home. There's no exigent circumstances. I said, oh, I know you're not.
Oh, wait till the jury finds out, too. Like I said, that part of their questionnaire that we have a copy of, ask how many guns are in the home, and then they're creating a national registry. That's a national gun registry. That's illegal as fuck. You talk about, I don't understand why NRA or somebody if any of you guys know anybody up high in NRA or some connections, they need to have a conversation with us. Because what is happening is under this guise of protecting children, they're getting away with all sorts of illegal, unconstitutional stuff, including tracking your weapons.
Well, what are they going to do? Because Donald Trump said he's signing an executive order that no state can now make you have a carry and conceal and carry or carry and conceal.
Yeah, he's bringing it under a second amendment. See, this is the problem, though. We need good leadership to turn around and basically say the Constitution is the ultimate thing. We don't compromise it. So why are we even having these conversations? We're not going to. See, that's where it should be squashed. And that's where the courts come up, unless it's something and hearing some bullshit of just looking over the thing. It says shall not be infringed.
Expiration date never expires.
This is the contract you signed as a state, so the state cannot have those rights on whether or not to do this and that. And that case needs to be needs to be repealed if there's a case law that goes with it. Why? The Constitution is the law of the land. And it is the supreme, and it has a supremacy clause. No state can override the Constitution. Well, that'll piss a bunch of states off, but it really needs to go to that. It should be that. We never had a problem with that. And if you think violence is going to stop anything like that, I mean, go to Australia, other places in Europe, England, this and that. Baseball bats are an all-time fucking high. Kitchen knife sets are fucking going crazy off the shelves. The Ginsu fucking guy is making a killing. I mean, not fucking weapons or anything, but damn, the commercials on thing. Hey, this can cut through bone and everything else. The guy's sitting there looking. He goes, "I need that for home defense." I mean, if I'm going to cut through something, I want to cut through his whole bone. I mean, screwdrivers. You're not going to stop them. The idea is the changing of the mind, but the problem is that we're always in competition with whose is better, and this isn't good enough. But listen, I don't care, and this is my attitude: is do what you want to do in your own goddamn house. But as soon as you go out in public, just act accordingly and with some decent fucking manners. And if something happens or somebody gets harmed, well, then you deal with it appropriately. But this other bullshit has just got to stop, and you're tearing the very essence of family. The court system, these family court systems are supposed to be doing stuff. It's destroying the family.
Well, that's what it's doing.
Yeah, this is not family court. This is family destruction court. If you come from there, that's just to destroy everything. I don't understand. If you're supposed to be adults, why can't you have a conversation before you even get married and leave the state out of it? A lot of people say, well, they're not dealing with common law, or they're not doing this. They're just going to deal with that. That's their fucking problem. But here's the other problem. You have to recognize my First Amendment right, too. And my religious belief says you don't have that authority. That resides within my religious belief system. And I believe that a God takes care of those things.
Your creator.
Exactly.
Well, that's what natural law is anyway.
Well, it's the highest law known on the face of the earth. It's called God's law. You can't pass a law and say you can't rain on certain days in the month of November here in Virginia, or Florida. Hey, you have to rain between the hours of this and that. If not, we're going to fine you. You see how stupid that sounds? That's the same thing with half the stuff we're seeing. And none of these courts are about this. This is about somebody too lazy to go get a real fucking job and work with their fucking hands and get their hands fucking dirty to go play around in these court systems and steal other people's kids for profit because they don't want to get a job busting their ass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 34% of the Constitution came from the Bible.
34%.
34% of the Constitution came from the Bible.
Yeah. Because it's one of the, it's the most peaceful religion out of anything else. A lot of, there's some violence in there, but what's the second part they can teach? A lot of this and a lot of that. Now, I'm not much for the whole compliance and some of the other things. And, some people crack me up. King James. You can King James all the way you want, but listen, that Ethiopian Bible's a whole lot older and been around and seen some things. And you ought to crack open a different book because you've been lied to, because that propaganda got into those holy books a whole lot too.
Oh, I believe that.
You don't even want to know. It's just.
No, I don't want my head to explode tonight. I got Christmas Eve tomorrow and Christmas on Wednesday. I can't deal with much more.
Winter solstice. The cover-up holiday. We'll just take over all these pagan holidays so they don't celebrate them. We'll put them in with our religious holidays, but even though it was never that time of year or anything, I mean, not even the same damn month if you go down the rabbit hole for that one. It's like, he wasn't even born during that time. It's like, well, how can you tell? There's markers and there are certain things that only happen if you know anything about farm animals. They only do this during a certain time of the season. They only do this a certain time. When it says that's going on in certain parts of the Bible, people go, well, I don't get what all the farm animal stuff, because it tells you about what time of the year it was and what the cycle was,
Yeah. supposedly he was born in June, and it took them all that time to find him.
Well, born is one thing, but we're under the misconception too that when the wise men found him, he was probably at least 4 or 5 years old. I mean, they spent time. The thing that actually happened of the counting of the people, that's no small task. You stayed in country sometimes for up to a decade to be counted for your family
Oh
and
wow.
stay with family because you got to remember they were nomads. So there was a lot of nomading and people during that time. Um, but once again, we don't look at the whole picture. We think whoever was going through whatever, we read a story or something, it's like it happened today or right here in our neighborhood or something. It's not the way it was, man. I mean, you forget we're only what 2 or 3 generations away from the Great Depression, where everybody starved. I mean, you got to understand. You think it's bad, but now you have CPS that comes in, and if we went through another Great Depression like we did, the government would own all your children
Oh
under their.
yeah,
And I got a fucking problem with that.
I do too.
You got to afford to do this.
That's why we're all here.
Listen,
Speaking of
motherfucker,
that,
I'm in charge of the economy. If the economy
Mhm.
fucking tanks and I can't find nothing, or the job's so shitty and everything's so high with inflation, I don't control that. The difference between fucking Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, and the fucking government and everything else takes and plays with that shit. It's horse shit. We spend so much time on delusion than anything else. That's like wind energy. What a joke.
well, you know what? We're not going to spend any more time on bitching about this stuff because there's a little boy out there that needs to go to sleep. So
Yeah.
let's stay tuned, guys. Be back for our 9 o'clock show. Tiff, you're out of here till Christmas.
Merry
I don't know
Christmas,
what you're
Tiff.
doing. I don't know what you're doing tomorrow night or the next night, but if you want to join me, you're more than welcome to. The
Yeah, I'll
Tiff
hook
show.
up with you.
All
I
right.
just gotta go get the boy at some time when he calls.
So Gunner's gonna fill in for me.
Huh?
I said
What?
Gunner's gonna fill in for me
What
on
day?
Christmas Eve and Christmas, but I will be back on Thursday and we'll do a show on Friday.
All right. We get an extra bonus day. So we're
We'll
going to be
figure
good.
some stuff out.
And Merry
That's all right.
Christmas, everybody.
Oh, I was looking. I should have. Damn it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody. Don't forget 988 if you guys need it. Don't forget 9 o'clock tonight, 9:15. We'll be on with our next show. That's when Vinny gets on there. Vinny gets on the horn. Gunny, you gonna join us too?
Oh yeah, I'll be up there.
Oh yeah, he'll be there. Gunny's full of Kristen vinegar. All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you all. We'll see you. Have a good night, everybody.
We are blowing it. These freedoms were created by those before us. They were to be something that stays. But now things are so corrupted, they are taking our rights away. Hey, Uncle Sam, where did you go? I called Washington today, but nobody's home. We all want to stand for our freedom, but nobody wants to do it today. Can't you see time is a waste in the Constitution we love? Make no tread on the reality, or the USA will be the next casualty. We are here for freedom, those we will protect. Unite for the values we cherish, or watch everything perish. Our men have fought for our freedoms, many women have too. Their blood spilled upon the ground, with the news many frown. They paid a price that many won't pay. Now we are letting the cause fade away. The graves are being neglected by the actions of so many deceptive. The freedoms they fought for in every world war, conflict or mission. So many stayed behind signing petitions, while those awake dying were there to protect them. It's time to wake up in the USA. We are all slipping away into the darkness we once ran from. It's getting worse every day. Now they are taking our children more and more every day. No soldier ever fought for taking our children away. This is not why they bled for our